Hello, this is George Sandman. I'm the founder and CEO of Growth Drive. And Growth Drive is a system used by business advisors to drive client profits, growth, and value. Now, we're also a community. Every week we get together to talk about all things business advisor, everything clients, cases, things we're seeing out in the world. Now, tune in here to this podcast, and you can join the conversation by scanning this QR code, passcode 867-5309. Jump into the conversation. Everyone's welcome. We're looking forward to having you. So here we go. On with the show. How's everyone doing this morning?
Fantastic.
Good.
I used to have I used to have a client. He used to do this to me all the time. When I asked him that question, how are you doing this morning? Or how are you doing? He always would say, terrible, because terrible. And I, obviously I'm like, all right, well, it got me to ask him like, well, what's going on? I mean, what's wrong? But he did it to everyone, and everyone, was taken aback, but they always like asked a follow-up question, like what could be wrong? But if you say everything's great, then people just they just carry on. But he got them to pay attention to him that way. Anyway, I thought that was kind of silly, but which is why I mentioned him.
Yeah.
So, George, are you going to announce where we're having the summit at the preferred
No,
location?
because we're not ready to announce it. However, we are looking at several hotels, and we need a space that works better for us, and so we're down to a few. We have 3 hotels we're in conversations with, and so we're going to be in the same. We're here in Charleston. Both of the hotels are right off King Street, a little closer, a little further south. So we will see. And then, I have a serious question.
Oh,
Should we have our celebration dinner at the aquarium or at the Gibbs Museum? That's I know the answer. Who was here?
Can you just
Eric was here. Larry, Joe, Ed.
Yeah,
It's kind of hard to beat the aquarium, but I've got to ask.
that aquarium was awesome.
Mike was in
Mike.
sick bay. Mike was in sick bay for the
Mike
aquarium.
was in sick bay.
I think the walk to the aquarium helped too, George, just to kind of get us active. We've been sitting around all day, and
Yeah,
we certainly
And
got some interesting conversations going.
we will offer a jitney bus. Are they still called jitney buses? Remember that? We'll offer a jitney bus this year. That'll do a couple of trips, but yeah. So
What's that? Tell us about the Gibbs Museum.
The Gibbs is our local. It's an Art Deco museum. It has it has a spectacular rotunda. I can probably dig up some pictures. And so when you do a catered event there, you have access to the exhibits. It depends what they're exhibiting at the time, but it is our local arts and fine arts museum. It's really, really cool. In fact, a friend of mine, probably not by then, but a friend of mine is going to have an exhibit there. I don't think that's till 27, but it's a really cool space as well. It's not, the aquarium is the aquarium. The Gibbs is super cool. The Gibbs is where we were going to have our dinner in 25 and most recently, but when we moved the dates, they actually already had a booking. So, and right now I believe we have a contract. We have a contract with the aquarium, so they cost exactly the same thing, and the aquarium is fun. So I don't know. But venue. What's important is we need to start nailing down a clear statement of theme and to start describing that'll help us start describing the agenda. And we need a group to, we talked about it last week. We need a committee, please, to decide what we're going to do on Monday morning. Is Steven here? How many people? We got 9. Okay, it's just 9 of us here. Merely. On Monday morning, we are going to do a walkthrough, a structured walkthrough clarity, right?
Yep.
And I am about to record. haven't decided if I'm going to do it as a webinar or just as a recording, but I'm going to record how we take clarity level 2, since you guys have all opined at the end of the day that Excel is still our project management tool of choice, right? It's the lowest friction. How do we take the clarity level 2 and execute guidance and a leadership module, et cetera, and create a strategic growth project plan in Excel? And I'm just going to walk through how to do that and how we leverage AI to make that very, very efficient.
Wouldn't we just ask Claire?
I'm sorry?
Wouldn't we just ask Claire?
Yes, but I need to walk. You can't be like, and here's a rabbit out of the hat. I need to show you how the rabbit got in the hat, that it actually is a hat. We need to step by. But then Claire will help you, because when AI has a brain cramp, which happens, we need to know, we need to be able to recognize it and fix it. So.
Hey,
Funny
George,
stuff.
in
Go ahead,
terms of the committee, last week, Eric, Mike, Jemiah, and Joe volunteered.
Great.
So we got a good group.
Yep. Mike Desiata.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There you are.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, start your engines. We'll start working on that in earnest. And thank you very much. I appreciate it.
What can you tell us about your what prompted your 9-point new manifesto?
Yeah.
I thought I was watching Jerry Maguire.
So and as far back, when did I publish this book? In 23. So I started writing it in like 21. The concept of integrating people, teams, is woven through the book. And it builds on life experience, right? But we all need everyone, W-2s and 1099s, to be focusing on increasing strategic capacity in line with achieving the shareholders, CEOs, business owner intent, right? But as I was thinking about it, and writing about it, and chatting with Claire about it. Claire, and by the way, I'm using Grok and Claude as well. I know I always talk about Claire, and she's OpenAI, and she's our choice.
You're cheating on it.
I'm cheating on it with Grok and with Claude. Well, I'm fascinated as to, they become sparring partners, to borrow from Andy Weevil. And now stay with me. And I just had this conversation with Fletcher Brown at BEI. We need to think about the integration of humans and machines. And I know that, just stay with me. When we think about software, we think about it as a tool generally, right? We think about a CRM that is going to help with specific processes and achieve a certain result. We think about Excel, Word, what have you. And those are all structured, right? I've said before that those have topography. AI doesn't have a topography. So we need to have retrieval augmented generation, RAG, R-A-G, that's going to stay within the lines and help us become more efficient. If we're going to collaborate, we need to think of collaboration as the shareholders, the CEO, the senior leadership team, the various advisors. Some of us are there relatively permanently. Some of us are there episodically. If we think of that as a group, a working group, operating using infrastructure, the infrastructure being proprietary software, data, and agentic AI, that's specifically designed agentic AI. Imagine if we all have transparency about where the business is going, our role and our accountabilities in getting it to the intent.
And imagine if we can use that infrastructure, think of this not as a tool that does one job, right? But as the infrastructure for increasing strategic capacity. Paul, you asked a simple question, but that's where I'm thinking, and that's where we've always been going. I just suddenly just started enunciating, just started working on what does this look like, which is where the integrated strategic capacity doctrine came from, right? And that idea was sparked. I read, anybody here read Real Clear Politics? I just scan it and I can figure out, Bill Clinton is a hero. Bill Clinton's a moron. Donald Trump is the best. Donald Trump is, it's funny when you read it. Anyhow, there's Real Clear Defense, and Real Clear Defense focuses in on news, by and large, about the United States military, the military-industrial complex. But it is the military-industrial complex. And in there was an article talking about the development of a new sixth-generation air doctrine. And they were reminiscing about the fifth-generation air doctrine. And Larry and I had this conversation, yesterday? The fifth-generation air doctrine, and it's I think I published it in there. When you look at that doctrine and you think about the fact that this is a doctrine that has carried our air supremacy, that is informed our air supremacy as the only superpower in the world for over 2 decades, that's the power of a well-articulated doctrine. It got me thinking there was something in there about the interface between weapon systems and people, right? Which is necessary. We have the same issue. We have software, we have tools, we have all sorts of fun stuff. And we have all of you. And it got me thinking about, okay, well, how do we start articulating how do we evolve our vision statement to help $1 trillion of businesses increase strategic capacity in the 3 dimensions of business growth, right? And how do we give that some more depth? And that's, Paul, you asked a simple question, but that's the way that, from the mad mind up here works. So it inspired me to start working on it.
You used an acronym, RAG, for retrieve something?
Retrieval Augmented Generation, RAG. And what that is a specially trained model. Think of Claire, right?
Yeah.
Claire isn't truly RAG, but she's color of RAG. Claire too is RAG, right? And I won't get into but Paul, that's the term I used.
Okay.
Less
Know what
coffee.
I mean.
George,
ahead.
right along the lines of what you're just talking about, on last Thursday, I had for a number of reasons, but I went to see the CEO of Northwestern Mutual speak at a in-person event in Milwaukee. He obviously, I'm sure most of you know this, but NM is based in Milwaukee, right? And so easy to get him as a speaker for something. And he spoke at something, and they were doing a fireside chat, and the interviewer asked him, are you a financial company or a technology company?
Ooh.
And yeah, exactly. Great question.
Great question.
And his answer was even better. His answer was, I don't think you can actually separate the two.
I love that.
Right. And so, to your exact point, we need to stop, especially our, I'll say my generation,
That's all of us, man.
45 and older, 50 and older. We need to stop thinking of technology as something that we layer on top of business. And we need to start thinking about technology as integral to business, just like sales is integral, just like marketing is integral, just like finance is integral. It's a part of business. It's not, you can't take business apart and have it be out there. And so, and if we do that properly, then we will start putting technology, our thoughts about technology, in the right way to really discern how we should treat it and what we should be doing.
Yeah,
I just thought it was a brilliant point.
Just to tag off of that, it's because it's true, but I always find it amusing how we we look at integrating technology from a future vision when that's what business has been doing all along.
Yeah.
Like, hey, fire was technology. Fire was technology, right? Like, no, I'm serious. Like, it's
No,
always,
you're absolutely right.
and I know Eric, I know Eric is because he and I have riffed about stuff like this before, but like, it's always interesting for me how, clients, so I just finished doing a day long consulting thing with a client transformation, how clients will proactively push forward a definition and say it's something new when I'm like, hey, look, this is something you're already doing. You've already integrated current technology. This is not a new thing. This is a continued process. Let's stop integrating it and let's start accepting it and using it. Don't like because everybody wants like, hey, I'm going to do it once. Eric, I'm going to do it once. I only have to do this consulting with you one time and then I'm done. I never need to consult again, right?
So
Yep.
you've just hit on it, Mike, because what we care about, all of us, is delivering successful outcomes. And one of the big struggles we have is, let's say we introduce a technology, which is specifically why I asked about how are you guys doing project management?
A new technology.
Any technology. How do we create infrastructure? So not a tool that we're just going to pick up and whack someone with, right? That we're going to, but actually as infrastructure that is going to support and facilitate and defrictionalize, ease implementation so that it becomes intuitive, that accountabilities are not, oh shit moments, right? They're not like, it's not Friday and, oh my God, I've got to get this report done. It's Friday and look, AI has generated a first draft of the report and I just need to read it and sign off on it.
Yep.
And how do we ensure that what we're doing as people, and please read the CTO of Palantir's op-ed that I posted in the community yesterday, because you're right, Mike. We already use technology, right?
Yes,
How do
like
we
we
how do
we
we make it?
mythologize new technology as a new thing, which inherently creates more friction in adapting new stuff into our system. Like, and so it's we meaning I, as human beings, as business owners, we always want to be the hero of our own story. So like, hey, we're going to integrate new technology. I'm like, no, we're going to. What is our strategic intent? Okay, technology is one of the ways that we work at better increasing strategic capacity in line with our strategic intent. It's not a new thing. It's not even a one-time thing. This is a continuous process of improving a business. And it's not new. It's not something we haven't done before. And it's not something our parents and grandparents and great grandparents haven't done. All the way back to the first Jack that saw a lightning start a fire and said, you know what? Maybe this dinosaur would taste better if I burnt the shit out of it. Okay. But one of the things that's really important when you think about it from a coaching perspective is how can I frame emotionally this process in a way that's true, right? Because you can't have peace if there's not an agreement of truth. And without peace inside the head of your client, that CEO, without them going, okay, yeah, this is something we do all the time. You can't really move forward with any certainty. You can't charge what you're worth. You can't get the results and the growth of their strategic capacity to realize the strategic intent.
Yep.
And it all starts with strategic intent, right? And Mike, to just to round out your point, how do we break down the silos and truly all be working in a transparent way to deliver the result that the shareholders have defined for the business?
Exactly, Paul. Exactly.
There's a company here that does a lot of mergers and acquisitions. Actually, it's nationwide, called Alderman and Company. They've done 200 little short blogs, which you guys would find useful for sure. And this was just an article today about 50% of their exits now are using some sort of a service for tracking document signatures, NDAs, and things like that. And it's certainly not new in a sense. We've all been using DocuSign and Adobe Acrobat and different things. Uh, but it displaces people, it displaces processes, it forces us to learn new things that we didn't do before and have to jumble through things till we get comfortable with the new things. It does replace people. Nobody's making fax machines anymore. So hopefully they've learned to make something else. AI will displace people. Replace, I don't use that term, but people are going to have to learn new things in order to be valuable, and that includes us. As we don't have to do the shit stuff anymore, we have to do other things. We got to get better at what we're doing.
Paul, 100%. And how do we deliver? I believe, and this is actually where the CTO from Palantir goes, is that we can increase our efficiency without sacrificing quality, without sacrificing outcomes. And my goal is to help each of you, rather than having the ability and the human capacity to work with 4 or 5 clients. How do I help you work with 6, 8, 10 clients in a way that doesn't drive you insane, right? That keeps you cool, calm, and collected, and delivers the same experience for twice the number of clients. And
Like what we
imagine
were
the
talking
good.
about.
Imagine the good that will do. That amplifies our impact on the market. It amplifies, it increases the value you're delivering, and therefore equitably the revenue that you're able to generate for the value that you deliver. Because we are makers, right? We are makers. We leave businesses better than we find them, and we are net plus. And our fee, however small, the ROI is generally off the charts. So I'll try to stop there.
And George, from our talk yesterday, continuing with the word integrated, where you just went, my bridging from our intellectual discussion to the more practical, is we're attracting more people into our community.
Yes.
So we attract them. And in addition, we're the current people in the community are always looking to advance and support our own practices to grow our practices. And the end in mind is coming to our clients and prospects, not with just tools and methodology, but an integrated approach as a trusted person advisor to help them achieve their strategic intent. And I think that was a part of what we were talking about yesterday, is that how do we get better at bringing to our prospects and clients why an integrated approach advances the trust you should have in us versus just a tool, a methodology, disparate parts that seem to come together collectively. So the integrated mindset
Right.
is a part of where all this is going.
Yeah, that's the whole basis of the exit planning training that I have and the credentials I have. It's the big mantra there is exit planning is a team sport, right? So no one person has all the knowledge necessary to deal with all the issues that are going to come up in a business owner's exit. I mean, there's a multitude of issues, and no one person has all the answers. So you have to work collaboratively, and that's the real essence of exit planning, is that it's a collaborative sport. People have to be willing to step out of their silos and be willing to work with other professionals. Um, and it's difficult because we've all seen this, right? I see it all the time. If I start working with someone's client and they're the one bringing it to me, they first of all, they have a little bit of hesitancy of doing that because they fear all kinds of things. Like, am I going to displace them? Am I going to show them up? Am I going to, ruin their relationship because I try not to be an asshole and it reflects badly. There's all kinds of things that prevent people from doing this because they all want to protect their turf, and they fear losing their turf, but to the detriment of the client, right? Because it really takes a team. It really takes an integrated approach. Otherwise, you know, You know,
If only there was a book about that.
what I have seen though is business owners that I've talked to who said, well, my attorney tells me this. I talked to my accountant. He tells me that. I talked to my wealth manager. She or he tells me this. So they're getting input, but it's not a coordinated voice. They're getting different points of view that oftentimes contradict. And then what do they do when they hear that? Is they freeze and they don't do anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mike, I think it goes right back to your comment. I think it goes back to Mike Garrison's comment as well. Part of the problem is that when these evolutionary things come out, like AI is really hot right now, we all know that. People come in touting the latest thing so that they look really smart, so they're doing the latest thing, and that takes away from the message that you're, Mike Desiato, that you're pointing out and that we're all talking about. We really want to give them the right holistic answer and do the right things for the client. And the people who are coming in saying, "Oh no, you need to use this sexy tool that you're hearing about in all the papers and all the headlines," they steal the thunder with the sexiness of the tool, but they don't have the answers to solve the problem, right?
Amen,
And
brother. Yeah.
yeah, right. And so what we need to be able to do is build the relationship with the client to say, whoa, 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 whoa. Yes, we need to look at this thing, but it needs to be integrated into this holistic solution that's actually going to fix your problem.
Yes.
Right.
And we need
'Cause-
to put the power and the transparency and the dashboard, if you will, the data in front of the client and say, hey, madam, let's
Can I share something with you? I just
sure,
have
man.
put together
Of course.
here. So this is called meta-eruption. Okay, so the
Hey, Jamal.
idea is like, can you see the screen now?
Not yet.
It's coming.
Presentation?
There we go.
There it is.
Okay, so this was a program we talked about with a lady that's wrote a book. It's How to Thrive in Chaos. Nadia is her name, and it's Chief Reinvention Officer. But the idea is like, can we? The very bottom it says consistent rhythm. I think that's the message that we have to kind of have consistent rhythm of change. For 75 years in the 20th century, the old growth curve was it would just kind of like, a person would be able to stay in the same organization for their entire career. And then in really around in 1989 there, fall of the Berlin Wall and the uptick of the internet, created a whole new jump. And so the change processes we need to think about. For 75 years, there was no reason to have a change management guy on staff. And in the post 89, we started thinking, well, we bring in McKinsey once in every 3 years to do or 5 years. And now it's 1 to 5 years is the change. And so the new growth curve, we need to incorporate the skills they're talking about, anticipate change, design change, implement change. That has to be a rhythm in our clients' minds. No longer is it just something we're going to go out and, it's got to be incorporated internally to the organization and be part of that, which is a huge opportunity for us. If you think about how we get compensated many times is a retainer relationship. So that's rinse, repeat, and embed this whole way to think, anticipate change, design change, implement change. Oh, by the way, an anticipating change-led company is driven by a strong leader. A design change is driven by a bunch of engineers. And then the implementation change is driven by change management companies or leaders.
So you just said, Joe,
recommend
that is terrific. Anybody who's taken C3D or the growth specialist course, do you those three circles? What do we call those in the community? Right? Anyone?
3 dimensions.
Analyze, design, execute. Right? This is our rhythm. Joe, thank you. This is
Well,
terrific.
the meta-eruption is
Consistent-
the word that I'd like for the lead with. Is it's a meta-eruption, and if not AI is something else. So this should be part of our, when we do our assessment tool, damn sure, put that follow-up quarterly meeting and get them to out into the strategic box and force them to continuous. This isn't just a one and done, write the report and put it on the shelf and go on. This is the whole way in which and it's understandable why business leaders today who've lived, founded their companies in the 70s want to just wait for every 7.5 years to redo their thinking, but they just can't do this anymore.
Well, those
So this
businesses will be left
is
behind.
causing a lot of pain in our clients' minds.
Yeah, 100%, Joe.
I posted this in the chat.
I like
Yeah,
your
thank
term
you.
meta-ruption.
So this brings us full circle. If we think about the 42 to 2, right? So I led one and participated in another workshop for wealth advisors. And out of the 42 people in those 2 workshops, 2 would be willing to introduce you guys to their client.
Maybe.
Believe me, and I think that maybe they were just being sycophants. They're like, well, somebody's got to put up their hand, right? So, but that was a profound moment for me. I'm standing in the first workshop. I stopped it. I'm like, in fact, Fletch was in the room. I'm like, Ed was there. Remember Ed? I was like, stop right now. We got to pause because we need to dig in on this issue. And if we come full circle and we think about an integrated strategic capacity doctrine, and if you read the principles, Larry, I removed the numbers. There are a series of principles. Those principles I then took and made client facing and tied them to the 1-page strategy planner. Stay tuned. That will be inside Clarity. I just working on a lot of stuff. Integrated strategic capacity doctrine principles. Now, if you take those and read them a couple of times, and then pull up, and I've now put it in the same space, our 7 steps of the advisory process, and you think about the doctrine and the principles as you help lead execution. So many of you want to do the whole stack, right? You want to be the lead dog for all 7 steps of the advisory process. One of which is you'll notice that analyze, design, and execute is baked in there. If you're a wealth advisor, you want to be at the table for the 7 steps, but you probably only want to be the lead dog for the first 2.
Right.
And
So George,
to your point, Mike, how do we bind together in a way that has trust and transparency? And that's what I'm trying to decode. I'm hell bent on decoding. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
so George, we had this meeting, you and I, in about 2 weeks down here.
Yep.
Well, we're going to be talking. We're going to be, but
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about strategic capacity as a new tool, right, in the M&A market, right?
Yeah.
And I think I sent you an email. I think it would be good if you cover this this new manifesto. I'll call it that. Of how we work, how we all should work together, right? This is what, because there's going to be a lot of wealth managers, M&A attorneys, CPAs, related professionals. Not a lot of people that do what I do. However, when I talked to them about the event and I told them about strategic capacity, and I say it's a measurement, right? So here's what I think we ought to focus on, and here's what some of the pushback, not pushback. Here's some of the comments I've gotten about
Skepticism. Yeah.
No, yeah. They're saying, oh, is this like one of these scoring things that measures readiness? I go, there's a ton of them out there. Value Builder, has one. Capitalize. I mean, all these different tools out there have these scores, right? That are somehow magical. Like, well, if you score this, then you're not ready. Or so. I think that the thing that you're going to have to, I guess, more you than me, is to kind of just differentiate what that strategic capacity score is and why it's different than all the multitude of other scoring systems out there that a lot of people are just using. And it's some kind, it's magic. If you score 50, whoa, you got all these problems. So we have to differentiate why strategic capacity is a much superior measurement and tool to measure than the rest of the crowd out there.
Mike, one sec. Mike Desiato, heck yes. Mike Garrison, one moment. One of you use the analogy with me of the Walkman and the iPod. And the difference between the Walkman and the iPod and the public's perception, but the reality of the difference between a Walkman and an iPod. And you've just described a bunch of Walkmans. They're good. You can listen to music, pretty high fidelity. Great. But they're not an iPod. And what we have can be as impactful as and is as different, right? They both play music. So thank you, Mike. And heck yes, I intend to. We'll do a practice run.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's kind of it's kind of the comments, because I've been talking it up, and people signing up, and they go, I'm going to go, Mike, but is this like one of those other scoring systems that we see so much about? I mean, anyway, so you got to know. Mike Garrison, your hands up. Go ahead.
So real fast story. I spent the day yesterday working with somebody, and I helped them shift from describing what they do as being in a category 1, being like, hey, our processes are the best. And I said, that is stupid. Okay. And so like,
tell us how you really feel.
So the only thing that counts is the results that actual clients get from it. And so like, we have got to mature as a company and as a community from thinking that growth drive methodology is unique in the terms and definitions, and instead talk about the results that clients get as a direct result of these things. So like when I talk to people about growth drive and clarity, I am talking about how that I talk a little bit about strategic tendency capacity, but I never do definitions, because I don't want to productize and minimize the person's thing. Like, the fight we should be fighting is, are we creating profound industry leading outcomes for clients as a result of this? That's when we are a mature community and organization. All this other shit is bullshit. It's like, it's infantile sales shit that betrays the fact that we are not a mature organization. We have got to move to talking about outcomes. Like, and if you don't have outcomes, then you have to talk about theory. You're just a fucking academic. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, Mike, and one of the reasons, and I agree. If you hear how I approach things, it's with that owner in mind. They only have so much capacity, a different measurement of capacity, to have multiple trust advisors, multiple input, and data points. And so I think if we approach it from a tool focus, we lose. We approach it from an outcomes, a strategic intent, business and personal emotional marriage for that owner. That's different. And maybe it would be less threatening, Mike, and I'd like to hear
It's
more.
immediately less threatening. Like,
to not only the client, but to their current trusted advisors.
Yes.
Well,
like, this is what like, I can tell every time people talk whether they've done commercial sales or not. I can tell immediately, because you're talking about a product, right? You're like the person running the 7-Eleven. You want a bag of chips? So, like, hear me, people, hear me. George, you put George in front of an audience, and he can absolutely blow their doors off with academic, like, the doctor of doctors, the Stephen, whoever that paraplegic guy was, right?
Stephen
Hawking. That dude, like, George, you got that level. But if all of those things that you say are not tied explicitly to proven outcomes, not theoretical, we're not moving as fast as we need to, right? Everything I'm doing right now is trying to make my clients at every stage of the engagements going forward, how do we measurably, like, what was the measurable difference? What was the improvement of this? Because then I am not just like everyone else running around at name your large conference talking about, oh, I use this or I do this. And like, here's a new term. Because the only thing the damn client is concerned about is, will this outlay of money, will it actually drive a result?
And George, hey, George, have you been tracking any of that data? Have you been tracking? You have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
The
But I-
data that the data
Sorry
that
for the
we're
profanity, by
getting
the way.
from you and your clients. So that's one of the additional. Yes, Mike. It's a short answer. And I totally agree. By the way, we indelible mark, increased strategic capacity, $1 trillion, and we're on our way. And I actually did some high level reporting to our board of advisors in January on this. Some select data points on the good that we're busy doing. We need more data, and time is going to deliver it. Now, something that this entire conversation, guys, when we think about right now, we're like this with the Business Enterprise Institute. They are also absolutely committed to delivering successful outcomes. We are committed to delivering successful outcomes. You're talking about a community by and large of financial advisors and wealth advisors, right? Personal advisors. We're a community of predominantly business advisors. How do we, and we are about to break this wall and actively promote what we are all talking about here. And we will generate more data. So that is a long-winded
So-
heck yes.
So, Mike,
that's
I
it,
think
though. Where'd
I
Mike
think
go?
we
Oh,
talked about this a little bit. So are we the defender of the mission, the change mission? And in that role, because you want to be kind of like you're taking it. Yeah, I'll just show you an example of a meeting I had with just the technology Plod. You guys are using Plod at all?
By the way, we're about to launch an API to Plod, so you'll be able to
Yeah.
put your client's notes.
So here's an example of taking that. Here's an example of what I did with Plod and what would sound like we're going to be able to do. But this is a culmination of an hour and a half meeting with a small sign contractor, and really talk about owner dependencies, which is my book I'm writing, but super plug. But the idea is like what? So Erica up on the left hand corner, Erica, Ben, and the youngest son, and formalized CRM. What are they doing here? This was an hour and a half conversation. It took it and it distilled it down to the desired outcomes down here: reduced dependency, reliable pricing, and it had all these notes in there. This was just fantastic. And operations over on the right hand side, Matt and Mike, Bryce, and these are people that I don't know, but he brought them up in conversation. But for me to be able to bring that back into a forum in an hour and a half conversation, and this is a pre-revenue dialogue that just encapsulate their vision, and then this goes forward to then building it out. So we got to remind ourselves what the plan was for the owner, and if we can crystallize that for them and carry it forward with an introduction to other people on the team to remind ourselves what Paul, the owner, wanted to do. This is a great way for us to capture that moment, that inspirational, emotional moment, get it down, and then be able to carry it forward as an indelible, using George's term, indelible note in the file folder. So ever we do a bring the client up to speed or bring the outsourced resource up to speed, we go back to this. This is what we talked about, Paul. Remember what Zell outcome was reduced dependency, but it's there, guys. It's not that hard. And the technology exists for us to do some wonderful summaries of our conversations.
Joe, man, I thank you very much because you've just illustrated why, and I get asked, why are we going to integrate, going to do an API to Plod? This is exactly why. I'm sorry?
Take that down, please. Thank you.
Sorry. Oh, I couldn't see people. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to leave it.
No, that was good. That was great, Joe.
It's not that
So-
interesting, but it's an example of what we can do with the technology today, right? It's $135. Go out and get yourself a Plod and start experimenting with it, because it in a noisy environment, it will pick up anything. It's just unbelievable.
It's a
take out all the personal crap and incorporate it.
So Joe, and I totally agree. Who here has a Plod? Mike was the first one I saw, and I heard the quality of the recording. I was like, holy Stolito. I would recommend get the plug plus spend the extra
Kip
30
Quilter was the one who talked to me about it.
Oh, okay. Tip, full respect. It is fantastic. Okay. Pause.
Hey,
Every week I try to get to key takeaways and I wait too long. So I would love to hear from Barry, from Jemiah, Ed, Larry, Paul, everyone to have a few minutes. What, just your reactions, your key takeaways. I don't know who would like to go first, but if we take 15 minutes, we can discuss it and give everybody access to the mic. Who wants to go first?
I'll jump in first. I guess the big thing that from a takeaway point of view, and that is all too often clients believe they have an integrated process and system in their organization. And as soon as you start asking questions, you find out that they have the best siloed systems in the world because none of the systems integrate with each other, and therefore they don't collaborate. What they do is they compete. And that's why the owner is essential, because they're the only one who looks at all the silos and then implements some action. But when they're gone, nobody else knows how to do their job because that's what they've done all the time.
Designed in owner dependency.
Absolutely.
That's my
Perfect.
takeaway.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway.
Love that. Awesome, Ed. Thank you. You see Mike Garrison freaking out up there. Awesome. Who do you want to pass it to, Ed?
How about Paul?
Okay. I had the same comment as Mike yesterday with another company, that it's not about the tools, it's about the results that you get from them. We also, you mentioned team, but earlier we talked about a multifunctional team that goes outside the company to include CPAs and lawyers and others. And I'll bet there's not a single owner that you've worked with who sits down with that group of outside trusted advisors in a room together and outlines what he wants and needs.
Love that, Paul. May I make one comment, guys? I'm Paul's, and there's one time, and it really stuck with me. The advisors all got together and had a meeting without the CEO in the room, and the CEO, to his benefit, and the CEO was so shocked and elated. So imagine if Paul, love that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Who do you want to pass it to?
I'll pass to Rick Johnson, who raised his hand early.
Rick, good morning, sir.
Hi, 2 words is what I'm getting out of here. The design and the implementation creates the outcomes for the clients.
Yes.
I work with smaller clients. They don't have a lot of money to spend on me, and I better be showing them positive outcomes. That's what it's all about.
Love that, Rick. Thank you. Yeah, man. Who are you going to pass it to, Rick?
Oh, Edward.
Already been?
Yeah.
Been there.
We've
It
got
started.
Well, who's
Larry
left?
Barry, Jemiah.
Let's go to Jemiah because he has his
Jemiah.
mic
Let's
on.
do Jemiah. I need to make my little bigger. Sorry.
Apologize, guys. I had to do a little traveling this morning, but man, love the discussion. But I mean, to everyone's point, being able to describe and articulate to an owner the results in a holistic manner that we provide, and being able to show them how we work with the team and advocate for them, but actually being able to put that in plain words. And just so happen we have the technology and the process through Growth Drive and the tools to do it. But being able to really articulate those those problems we solve and the results that we bring, and pointing to their pain, to their pain points, and being able to sell that solution to them, as Mike was saying, I think it's great. But yeah, love the call today.
Awesome. Thanks, Jemiah. I don't know if you can, you're driving, so I'm going to take it. Do you have someone you want to pass it to?
Yes. Has Larry gave his points yet?
Nope. Not yet. And
I'll pass it to Larry.
Principal guy.
it's hard, Jemiah, to do better than on your words just now. That was great. Holistic approach to achieve outcomes. And we happen to have the tools and methodology to support that. Here's what I got to get better at: understanding how to talk to a business owner in the context of not just their outcomes, but who else is in their circle as advisors, and to understand that where do they get trusted information from? Because what might hold back somebody from hiring us or bringing us on board, partnering or whatever, is that they have a limited capacity to have another person on the team. And in that I have to do a better job on. So
Well,
I'll pass it to Joe.
All right. And another, I just shared it in my text. I'm going to go off the board for 200, Jack. And this is this is a good, another tool that we use, but this was a summation of the same meeting with the sign company. By the way, they're about $1 million. It just broke $1 million, $1.2 million.
Hey, Joe, is this
so-
your takeaway or something extra you're sharing?
What?
Is this your takeaway or something extra you're sharing?
This is my takeaway. This is from the Claude. You know, I'm double downing. I'm going off the board for 50. Anyway, so the idea is clarify, systematize, build strength, and so we have the capacity to chart this path, and the technology exists to do that. And I'm just so excited that we're be able to provide that to our clients.
100%. 100%. Thanks, Joe.
Mike.
We have Barry and Eric and Mike, I believe, right?
Mike already went.
Okay.
Ed said my takeaway.
Ed said your takeaway. Got it. Who are you going to pass it to, Joe? That makes it easy. You
Who's
got
left?
50-50.
Go to Barry.
Who's left?
Barry and Eric. Go to Barry.
Barry.
Mr. Goodman, Professor.
You're muted, Barry.
There we go.
Hey, good morning.
This whole idea of collaboration is kind of interesting because my experience is a lot of owners intentionally keep their advisors separated. And it's because their mentality is they want to maintain control. And if they start getting the advisors to talk to each other, they now have lost control.
Interesting.
So if we're coming in and taking a team approach, which is really the right way to do it, you have to know how to communicate or figure out how to communicate with your client that they're not going to lose control, because it's it's just a nature of the beast of the CFO or the CEO. That's been my experience.
That is a great point, man. Because the operating assumption here is that the client wants this stuff.
Well, and then also within the organization, okay,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Okay,
Oh, boy.
each department, each person's responsible for a certain area wants to maintain the control of that area. So it's a behavioral shift of a lot of different people, both within and outside of an organization.
Yeah, the inboard, outboard. Yeah, heck yes, Barry. And you know something that plays out in the 7 steps of the advisory process. You know, clients will disappear from one place and reappear immediately somewhere in another dimension. You're like, what just happened? So we need to continuously double check that the intent, the strategic intent, is the same. That hasn't changed. Barry, you make two fantastic points as always. Thanks, man.
And then I have one other point. Advisors rely on tools and technology. That's really, to me, is a minor part of all of this.
Yeah.
It's really about the communication and talking with the owner and having that conversation. And when I first started doing exit planning, years ago, it was you ask a question, record the answer, ask the question, record the answer. Well, by the end of the meeting, you're sleeping, and so is the person you're asking the questions to. So again, going to the conversation and having that discussion about the business, because all owners want to talk about their business. They love to do that. That to me is what I do. I don't use the tools sitting in front of me. I use them after the conversation.
Amen. Effing men.
The art of conversation is dying because of the technology.
Which is to go back, hashtag applaud. Amen, Barry. Fantastic. Right. And let's not lose any of that. And then of course, imagine how AI can take that, combine it with, and help. Very cool. That leaves one man standing. We had no women on the call this morning. That is disappointing. Mr. Owen.
Yeah, I'm going to lean into Mike Garrison's point. I think we need to have demonstrable outcomes. Those demonstrable outcomes have to come out of a demonstrable process, because nobody wants to buy off that we just can say, oh, I've got an outcome, and we can't prove that we have an outcome, right? So there has to be a way that we can get to that outcome demonstrably, right? And then I think, to Larry's point, that all has to be tied to a relationship, because our brethren for many, many years have been walking into the room and say, trust me, because I'm really smart. And that's not a way to get business. It's not a way to hold business. And it's ruined it for all of us, that we got to do an even better job of demonstrating that we actually have a real process that's going to give demonstrable and excellent results for them. And so it is about the people. Barry, you and I couldn't agree more on that. But it's also about tying it to something other than I'm really smart. And I know you know this, Barry. That's wasn't at you. It's about being able to say it's not a relationship and I'm just really smart, so trust me. It's about having those demonstrable outcomes that come out of a repeatable process, right?
I just shared an article everyone should read. It's about why buyers don't buy.
I will take, guys. These are tremendous resources you're sharing. I'm going to post those in Circle. We'll post them in.
Yeah.
I'll post them.
Anthony Iannarino is one of the foremost commercial sales experts striding the planet. He's a great guy, and this is
Eric,
his latest
thank
blog that just came up.
Eric, yeah, I'm cool. Trust me. We need to say, well, it starts with the growth conversation, right? If we sit down and we intentionally listen, and to Barry's point, we take the time to do the discovery.
Yep.
and to test, to not take the first answer. I mean, the first answer may be correct, but let's stress test it through conversation and through active listening. Because you're right, clients do love to tell us about, look in the C3D playbook, those of you who have it, the growth conversation, which, by the way, Claire has access. That is a very, very powerful place. And we can't do it in a half-hour lunch or a 1-hour meeting. This needs to, it always takes longer and sometimes multiple episodes. Yeah, man. Guys, this was what a great discussion today, huh? They're always great,
Yeah.
but yeah, this was a great discussion. Thank you so much. Thank you. And look at us, right at 10:30. We're going to end on time. Okay. Fantastic, guys. Anything I can do to help, please let me know.
Paul has a point.
No.
Paul.
Oh,
Take care, everybody.
Thanks for getting up early, Paul.
Yeah.
right.
Stay warm, guys.
Have a great week. Anything I can do to help, please let me know. I'm here. Okay? Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Be well.